You know what it feels like when someone paints you a future that seems almost too good to be true. They talk about the life you'll build together, the places you'll go, the dreams you'll share, and because your empathy runs deep, you believe them. Not blindly, but with the kind of trust that comes from wanting to see the best in people. But then the promises don't match the actions, and days turn into months of waiting for a future that never arrives. That's when the hurt sets in. It's not just disappointment, it's the feeling of being misled, of having your hope used against you. This isn't your fault. It's a tactic called future faking, and narcissists use it to hook people exactly like you. People with big hearts who want to believe in something real. Your empathy makes you a natural target for future faking. Because you feel so deeply, you naturally give people the benefit of the doubt. When someone opens up to you about their dreams or promises you a beautiful future, your instinct isn't to question them, it's to believe, to nurture, and to encourage that vision. That's what makes you different from most people. But that same gift is what narcissists exploit. They sense that compassion in you almost immediately, and instead of cherishing it, they use it as an opening. They know you'll hold on to hope longer than most, that you'll excuse delays, that you'll stay loyal even when promises start to fall apart. To them, your empathy isn't something sacred, it's a weakness to manipulate. And that's why the pain of future faking cuts so deeply. What was pure and genuine in you was seen as an opportunity for control in them. Why empty promises feel safe to you. For you, words carry weight. When someone says, "We'll do this together," or "I see a future with you," it doesn't sound like casual talk. It feels like truth. That's because your empathy naturally attaches meaning to words, linking them to hope, connection, and trust. On some level, those promises comfort you because they speak to your deepest need, to build something real and lasting. Even when actions don't quite match up, you hold on, thinking maybe circumstances got in the way, or maybe they just need more time. This is where the trap sets in. What feels safe and reassuring to you is, for a narcissist, the easiest way to keep you hooked. They know how much you want to believe, so they give you just enough words to keep your heart invested without ever delivering on them. Your heart deserves better. And that gets to broken again. How future faking warps hope into a trap. Hope is one of your greatest strengths, but it's also the very thing that can be turned against you. When someone keeps promising a brighter future, your natural instinct is to hold on, to believe that things will eventually align if you're just patient enough. At first, that hope keeps you going, giving you something to look forward to. But over time, it begins to blur reality. Instead of seeing the pattern of broken promises, you start focusing on the potential of what could be. That's where future faking becomes dangerous. It turns your gift of hope into a chain, keeping you tied to someone who never intends to follow through. The longer you wait, the more invested you feel, and the harder it becomes to walk away, even when deep down you sense the truth. What once felt like faith in love becomes a trap built on illusions, when someday means never. One of the hardest lessons to accept is that someday often doesn't mean what you think it does. When someone tells you, "We'll do this later," or "Just wait, it's coming," you hear commitment, you hear intention, you take it as a promise that will eventually be fulfilled. But with future faking, someday is nothing more than a placeholder, a word meant to keep you waiting without giving you anything real. The tragedy is that you keep holding space in your heart for something that was never going to happen. And while you're waiting for them to deliver on that future, they're enjoying the benefits of your loyalty, your attention, and your energy. To them, someday is a tool. To you, it feels like hope. But over time, you realize that the future they keep dangling in front of you isn't delayed. It was never intended at all. You start to question your worth, not their intent. This is where future faking becomes the most damaging. Instead of recognizing that the other person is the one failing to deliver, you start turning the blame inward. You wonder if you're asking for too much, if you're being impatient, or if somehow you're not worthy of the love and commitment you were promised. That self-doubt eats at you because your empathy is wired to assume responsibility, to think maybe if you just loved harder or waited longer or proved yourself more, things would change. But here's the truth. It was never about your worth. The broken promises, the excuses, the endless delays, those were never reflections of you. They were reflections of someone who knew how to exploit your belief in the good. And instead of questioning them, you ended up questioning yourself. That's the cruelest part. The manipulation makes you lose trust in your own heart. The moment you recognize the pattern, you regain power. The turning point comes when you finally see the cycle for what it is. The endless promises, the someday that never arrives, the excuses dressed up as reassurance. Once you connect those dots, something shifts inside you. You stop blaming yourself and you start recognizing the manipulation. That awareness alone changes everything because it breaks the illusion. Suddenly, the hope that kept you trapped no longer has the same hold. You realize that believing in potential isn't enough. Actions are what matter. And in that moment, the power begins to return to you. You can choose boundaries, you can choose distance, and most importantly, you can choose yourself over the lies you've been fed. The pattern loses its grip the second you decide you won't play along anymore. Awareness isn't just clarity, it's the key that unlocks your freedom. Healing happens when you choose self-respect over their illusions. The real healing begins when you stop waiting for someone else to finally keep their promises and start honoring yourself instead. For so long, you've carried the weight of their words, convincing yourself to stay, to hope, to forgive. But when you decide that your self-respect matters more than chasing an illusion, everything changes. You stop giving your energy to empty futures and start investing it back into yourself, into your peace, your growth, your happiness. That choice isn't easy because part of you still wants to believe. But choosing self-respect is how you break the cycle, how you remind yourself that you are not someone's backup plan or placeholder. You're someone who deserves actions that match words. And when you finally step into that truth, you find a freedom and strength you didn't realize you had all along. Boundaries aren't rejection, they're self-protection. One of the hardest lessons for an empath to embrace is that boundaries don't mean you're shutting people out or being unkind. They mean you're choosing to protect yourself. For so long, you've given without limits, believing that love meant sacrifice and patience. But when you finally realize that not everyone deserves unlimited access to your heart, boundaries stop feeling like barriers and start feeling like freedom. A boundary is how you remind yourself that your empathy is precious, that your energy is meant to be drained by people who only take. It's not about punishing others, it's about honoring yourself. And when you set those limits, you discover something powerful. The right people will respect them, and the wrong ones will disappear. That's how you keep your heart safe in a world full of manipulation, by drawing the line before someone else crosses it. Future faking can leave scars that make you doubt your worth and your judgment. But the truth is, you were never weak for believing. You were simply giving from the purest part of yourself. Now, protecting that part of you isn't about closing off. It's about setting boundaries that keep your heart safe and your empathy intact. You deserve promises backed by actions, not illusions designed to keep you waiting. If this message spoke to you, subscribe and return for more reminders that your sensitivity is strength, not weakness. And here's something to reflect on. When someone's words don't match their actions, will you keep waiting for them to change, or will you choose to protect your peace instead?